in your life. But what are your thoughts? When you're old, what are your regrets going to be, Mr. Boots?
To be honest, probably messing up my knee, but getting old is something that you can never truly regret because it's just a natural function of the body. Things are gonna fall apart and break, so I mean, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to continue doing with a military career, but unfortunately, I never got a chance to finish that up because of the injuries I sustained.
Right. Do you think the oath to preserve and defend the U.S. Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, uh, do you think that put a stain on your psyche? Do you believe that that's part of why you're a liberty activist, for lack of a better term?
To be honest, I was sort of already there before I joined the military because I was about people's rights and all that stuff. And part of the reason I did go into the military was to have that military background. So when you have people that go, "Oh, you have these troops gave their lives or fought for your freedoms," and be like, "Yeah, I fought for it too, in the ways that you wanted me to." And so I rarely pull that card. And for the most part, what's nice is in this, for the most part, a lot of people have gotten wise about the entire military-industrial complex and what are we truly going to wars and conflicts about. For the most part, it's usually about the corporate interest for the United States or political interest for the United States on the world scale. That's pretty much all we're going on for. And I want to be able to say, hey, I went and did those things. Now I'm coming back, and I'm still going to hold myself down to the oath of defending people's rights. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to do, is try to show people how they can exercise their rights properly and legally for the most part. Show examples so this way they can see what happens. They have some idea if they're going to end up going through that situation. Should I go ahead and keep my mouth shut and not respond, or should I just give them the very minimal amount of information as needed to get through that stop as possible? And also,
Yeah, there is.
go ahead.
Oh yeah, you do have to weigh that sometimes, like whether you want to say no and like not give them anything, or if like sometimes like during a random traffic stop, like I don't know, I have a broken tail light, so I'll get stopped sometimes, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Like you have the right to say that's none of your business, or nothing at all. And sometimes they'll give you grief over it. Sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, hey, you know your stuff, good for you. But sometimes you do have to weigh the whether you want to exercise your rights or whether you want to be like, oh, nothing, just going home, and then they leave you alone. So there is, yeah.
Yeah, picking your battles is very important. Like, also as a cop watcher, we're providing a service, and it's a community service. We're mitigating violence, in my humble opinion, between police and citizens. Because I've seen numerous examples of the person the cops are interacting with calming down once they realize there's 4 or 5 people filming, or vice versa. I've seen cops, and how many times, James, do we interview people after the police leave and they tell us, oh, well, they calmed down as soon as they saw you, or they started treating me better?
Yeah, I always go back to remembering that the Ukrainian guy who got stopped for no reason, and they drew on him, and when they saw us arriving with our cameras, they put their guns away and told him to calm down. I remember that interview. I think I'll always remember that. Like, we potentially saved that guy's life.
Yeah.
It's not always like that, but earlier today, for example, I was on my way to go get some food. I watched a cop going the other direction. I saw him, and I was like, "Yeah, I see you." And then he flipped his lights and turned into turned around and then turned into, what was that? I don't know, some parking lot of something. And I was like, "Oh, what's he doing?" So I turned around and I started filming, and he was just harassing a homeless dude. That's all he was doing. Like, he flipped his lights on and made traffic stop for him so that he could go and harass somebody that was sitting on the steps of a business that was closed. The business was closed. He was doing nothing. And because I'm pretty sure that because I started filming, they let him go without incident. Whereas when we aren't there, terrible things happen. People get arrested. People
Sure.
get beaten. I genuinely think that it's great. It's really, really great that we can affect the actions of the officers and not get the good videos. I'm not going to post that video online. It was boring. They talked to him for about 5 minutes and then they left. That was it.
Right.
But who knows what would have happened if no one had been watching? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. Like, it sucks, like for a video to go viral, it's either got to be violent or we're cussing the cops out. But
Right.
what we want to do is find some way to use the camera as a behavior modification tool, and I've seen it work. So when we're really succeeding to provide a public service, we're shooting stuff that no one wants to see.
Right.
Nobody wants to see, Officer DeLong helping a mentally ill guy in a window that was trying to kill himself. Nobody wants to see the time when I saw, Sergeant Aaron Smells helping a barefoot girl on drugs get an ambulance. No one wants to see the cop that gives a courtesy ride to a blind person that's lost and confused home. They don't want to see that stuff.
Right.
They want to see blood on the bricks on the interweb, and that's kind of unfortunate.